What's happening, everybody? UFC 209 getting loaded. Khabib Nurmagomedov taking on Tony Ferguson. Apparently, this fight is official. I know it's one of those fights that you have been dying to see just because of the way the two fighters match up. We've seen the grappling ability, the stifling, the no-space game of the Eagle, and for Tony Ferguson, so creative on the ground. In order to get to the ground, you have to pass through that system, and he can hurt you with his elbows, or he can choke your lights out. Is it going to be as simple as that? One guy looking to drag it to the ground, one guy looking to beat you up, and if you manage to try to get to the fight to the ground, he's going to try to lock in something.
Remember only a couple of years ago, we'd say, well, this guy's got better boxing, and this guy's got better kicks, and this guy's got better takedowns. You know, those questions still exist, but in completely different areas now. You know, who's better at the full out distance range? Who can make that range work better? Who's more comfortable there? And then when you pass through in that desire to get to the body lock, what happens? Khabib has strikes that he uses in different rhythms, and Tony believes Khabib not a solid striker in that range. I think Tony's, great to say what you want publicly, but Tony ain't messing around. He understands that Khabib's off-rhythm timing is striking is very different. But then you do pass in. When you're taking your head and you're Khabib and you want to get it into my hip or my upper rib cage area to take me to the ground, you must pass through that area where I snap everybody down and work all kinds of front headlock sequences.
And you say everybody. I'm sure he does it to most people. Is he going to be able to do it against Khabib? Because if you're so confident, we know mixed martial arts is full of ego. I land this on everybody. And then the night of, except for this guy.
Yes, and these are where the questions lie. We can no longer say, oh, and he's better here and he's better there, but that is nonsense. Now we go into range 2 where elbows, uppercuts, and hooks all work, but Tony has a real grappling game in that area. Snaps your head down, plays all kinds of games off of it, works the striking from range 2. Grappling in range 2 is something Tony's had big advantages in. What will Khabib do? Will he blast through it and get to range 1, where he wants to be, where he gets the body lock, where he seems to be able to abuse everybody?
Yeah.
Or will he have to engage in grappling there? Can he win in grappling there? Or can he get through it and get to his body lock and get to the ground? Then you get to the ground and you're working a guy with a wrist ride, leg ride, abrasive, abusive striking game against a guy who's got a very innovative submission and scrambling game. So it is a fascinating matchup. It's a one-of-a-kind contest between two guys who are both growing and are both very, very different than the average.
One of the things we've seen, the Lando Venata fight or the Edson Barboza fight, that Ferguson kind of starts slow, that he tries to get a read on you. Is that an important element for Khabib to get through? Say, look, before this guy gets in his zone, gets his groove going, let's put him down and beat him up, because Ferguson, because of his toughness, he's able to come on later. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him, get schooled in round 1 and then be very abusive in round 2.
Michael Johnson got beat up, and Michael Johnson, I've heard, is very proud of that performance because he knows in that fight with Khabib that 99.999 repeating percent of all humans are not in there as long as him, as long as he was capable of being in the fire with Khabib. Now, Tony has that ability as well, and he'll need to show it like Stephen Thompson did in the first Tyron Woodley fight. So you don't get to always choose what you're going to show in a fight. Sometimes you got to show heart and toughness, but that's not the plan. The plan is to move your feet, so wherever Khabib is getting closer to us, we are moving further away and we're striking with him. You saw Kelvin Gastelum in his last fight look like Anderson Silva, untouchable out there. Tony's had moments like that too. If Tony has those kind of moments in round 1, he's going to piece Khabib up and he'll have to show his heart.
When you talk about hurting Khabib, is that the first assignment, knowing that it's going to be very difficult to stop this guy? He's constantly going to be looking to drag me to the ground, to beat me up there. So I have to, like BJ Penn says, be first and go after him and hurt him more than he can hurt me early.
And I think we got to break some rules too. There's a lot of things that people call rules in mixed martial arts that are not true. Don't kick a wrestler. You can't kick Khabib. He'll take you down. You can kick Khabib. You just have to address the disadvantages of that moment and address them to the point that with all of your work in the gym, none of the best grapplers take you down with leg kicks because of where you are. I mean, TJ Dillashaw right now is using kicks and takedowns in different rhythms in ways that are making those things work again. Tony needs to look at doing that as well. This is a fascinating fight. This is one of the great fights right now. You can choose a winner, and you can, if Khabib wins, it'll be on the ground. If Tony wins, it'll be on the feet. And you can find yourself completely wrong, because right now we're in an exciting time where new truths are being revealed every single fight. These fights are getting harder and harder to pick, and this fight is very difficult to anticipate. I can't wait to do a breakdown on this and really dig into it, because there's a lot of beauty in this one.
You've really pointed out Khabib's path to victory in this fight, and it seems that Tony Ferguson may have a couple of different routes if he wants to leave the cage with a victory. But what do you believe is Ferguson's best path to not only get a victory over Khabib, but put himself into a position where he can challenge for the title?
Just to strike in the open field, of course, on different angles and on places where Khabib has to turn back to him when he does step somewhere else. So really, as much as we'll be watching his hands, it's all about his feet. Where are his feet in connection to the direction Khabib is facing? If he's over here and Khabib turns back in, he's here and he strikes. Get Khabib guessing. Tony can do that. If you stay out there, you don't deal with any of his rides, you don't deal with any of his abuse on the ground, and you have a fight that you believe you have advantages in. If and when Khabib starts to get aggressive to get inside, you now drag him into that snap-down city game that Tony is the best in the world at. That is 100% the game. On the ground, we'll test the submissions. If we can't make them work, we're going to fight to get out.
Right.
And that is very hard to do. If you find yourself there, you can be in a lot of trouble.
So the plan is try to test out your submission game, check your sweep game. If it's working, use it, opposed to, you know what, let's not mess around on the ground. As soon as we get to the ground, let's get right back up, because we know he's going to have the defense for everything.
Yeah, and we've yet to see somebody really work a submission game against Khabib. On January 27th, I'm going to be down in LA. I'm going to go train at Eddie Bravo's gym and try to play with some of the higher level guys and ask them what some of those routes are.
Ferguson might be there.
Yeah, and Tony might be there, exactly. But I'm going to go down there and really dig in and see what that thought process is. But you know, if it ain't working, you got to create enough space to get your hips up, and nobody's been able to do that too much against Khabib. Khabib, on the other hand, man, he can hurt you coming in, and if you believe, as long as we're on the feet, we're good, you are living, something that may not be true, because Khabib out there with his different entries and his different timing, he's lived a life of striking to the grappling in different ways, and it's something you have to be ready for.
A very cool fight at 155 pounds, the Eagle versus Ferguson, a great addition to UFC 209.